Well, good morning and welcome back. Exciting show today. If I do say so myself, we are talking learning language arts through literature. So I have some of the best literature programs, which essentially are basically working on skills like recall and introduction to reading, and occasionally literature programs do something else, but they don't always encompass everything. So I am a huge fan of literacy programs, and because of that, I pretty much bought every one. So I'm going to tell you what I think the best secular literature program is, the best Christian literature program is, and they're both great. They're both great. Like, they are tied, in my opinion, probably tied for number one, and plus a third alternative that is a really affordable literature program. So first, of course, we have products of the day. I need to tell you about this book. It's my favorite book ever, ever, ever. Like, I know that I have showed you that science book, which is right next to me because I haven't cleaned up from last week, but this one, oh my gosh. Oh, I love Robert Munsch. Like, kids love Robert Munsch. Admittedly, they don't love this book as much as all his other books, but I love this book. It's about a girl, and she's a princess, and her castle gets burned down, and her prince gets kidnapped, and so she does the best she can. She grabs a paper bag since all her clothes are burnt, and she goes off to get him, and she tricks the dragon, and she gets her prince, and her prince says, "You don't look like a princess, you're so dirty." And then she realizes, you know what, I think I'd be better off without my prince. If he's not going to be polite to me and kind to me, and he doesn't appreciate me, he's gone. I mean, it's a great book. I love it. I love it. All right, so next up, one of the products and activities and ideas I want to give you for the day is these. So these, they were generally used for speech, but essentially all they are is miniature things. So you can get a bunch of erasers. That's what I'll put a link down to the erasers that I recommend, because really all you need, but you can use any objects you have. You can use like Paw Patrol characters, whatever is a huge hit in your house or not a huge hit, it doesn't matter. And you take, a handful of these and you put them on the ground and you say, okay, I'm gonna do one sentence, you do one sentence. So for example, let me use Chase as an example, like Paw Patrol's example. Chase received a distress call. And then, okay, you get to do a sentence. So you're working together collaboratively to create a story. So there's a lot of elements going on here. And then that person could be like, and so he ran and he got on his motorbike, if that's there. Or if you have these add like a different element to it because they got little mini toothpaste, they got little mini cheesecakes. And so they're like, and so Chase ran, or whatever character you're using, ran and jumped in his mini little car to head off to get him. But on the way, he stopped and got a piece of cheesecake because he was hungry. So you're making, it's just a collaborative story that you're making together to help work on discussion and interaction and identifying what you're doing and creativity and storytelling, all that stuff, right? Which is kind of a goal, I guess, in life, is because the sooner you get them recalling, the sooner you get them participating with information, it's just communication, and it's good to do. You need it for society. You need it for life. All right, so next up so this book, it starts at grades 5 and 6. So level 1 is grades 5 and 6, level 2 is 7 and 8, and level 3 is 9 to 11. This is master books, and it's the wonders of creation. So it's definitely Christian, but what I love about it is I just think the photos are fantastic, and I love that. So, the first grade, grades 3 through 5, you read this, right? And then as they get older, you go back, and then the next time you read this, and then the next time you read that. So I just think, and I love the photos they have. I love the photos. I'm a sucker for photos. I am. And so it's a whole series. I got the whole series. They even have curriculum that goes along with these series. I did get it. But it's made from a separate company that does study units and things like that. Okay. Next up, I want to do your free thing of the day. Oh my gosh, it's super awesome. If you want to learn about poetry and fables and what else? Poetry, fables, and I don't know, nursery rhymes. Then you want to get this. It's free. It's from Core Knowledge, and it is a kindergarten curriculum kit. But it's free, but it's just like, this is the literature portion that will go into the fables, like Aesop's fables. If you've ever heard of Aesop, he's like an old guy. He's old, Greek. They think Greek. And so lived a long time ago. No one exactly knows. But so they got these books of fables. Now, this is not from the Core Knowledge. This is from Abeka. But anyway, if you want something free, you can go. It's got all the pictures you need that you can print off. It's got a student manual. It's got a teacher's manual. And it's pretty cool as far as literature goes, and free. And it starts at kindergarten level, but it's poetry, so you can use it anytime, any age. But let's go back to Aesop's fables here. So now, generally when you buy Abeka, You can get, this is what I love, is this is the youngest version I have found. They have a bit older versions, but these are the youngest Aesop Fables version I have found. And so they have, again, there's a ton of companies that have, you know, Aesop's Fables for children, but this is Abeka. So it's like, what, 100 something pages. And it comes with, every Abeka book, pretty much, comes with a teacher's edition. I don't get them because it's an additional $20, and on top of the $20 that you got for this, and every year there's like 6 or 7. And so getting all of them, I don't think it's not necessary. I'll tell you right now, it's not necessary. So this is what the story would look like, okay? So it's very short. This is the wolf and the goat, and then at the end it's got think about it, and you can just, with your finger or with a pencil, just circle answers, right? So it's always got think about it in here. So every single one has think about it, and it's got questions for you on which to answer. Now, the teacher's manual, I will say, it does add another element to it, because it'll go into, this is a different story, but it goes into the character themes. And so you're like introducing, okay, we're gonna talk about, and it tells you how to introduce the story you're discussing. And then it goes through reading the story, and then it goes through comprehension and discussion. So technically, because it has the entire story in here, I mean, at least that's what I've noticed, you could just get the teacher's manual, but reading through it, it's just not as fun. It's not as pretty, I guess, if you, reading this, of course. But that's something to consider, that it is super cool. And if money is no object, I would encourage you to get all of these and all of the matching books. And it has, like, this is 1F. So by the time they're at level 1F, that's grade 1, and they're in the F book, which again, you don't have to read them in order. I've read them completely out of order, which probably does not surprise you. I've read different grade levels depending on what we were learning and things like that. But just so I think it's super cool. There are other Aesop's books though, of course. Okay, so let me get to the autism tip of the day, if you will. It's kind of a new thing I'm introducing, which I thought I would do, which is kind of an autism activity, but it's neurodiverse. Like, it's for anyone, neurodiverse or not. Okay, if you think you need this, then let's talk about it. So one of the things is, after your children are very young, when they're very young, but if you haven't done this before, do it when they're older, is identifying emotions. Like, wow, you are so upset, because they want to be heard. When they're screaming or crying, they want to be heard. Wow, you are so upset about that. You did not like the way that went down. You wished you could have that right now. You know what I mean? So identifying their emotions. You are so upset. You are so mad. And as they get older, they'll correct you. Like, no, I'm not. I'm mad, or whatever it is. But in the beginning, really working on them to identify their emotions. And I'm telling you, for some kids, it takes years before they'll finally say, I'm really mad. And like, when they do it, you're like, yes, finally, it mother effing worked. Like, years I worked with this one kid, like my youngest. Years. And finally one day he was like, I'm so mad. And I was like, I love that you told me that. Yes. Okay, so the next step then is, and so this is the Thriving with Autism book. All right, so in it gave me an idea for something, and it's basically emotions charades. So you put, I am angry. And so you don't have to do it. You could do it at breakfast time or whenever, just after you've eaten, or whatever is a good time for you guys just to hang out and say, all right, I'm gonna pull one out of the bag, and I'm gonna show you what it is. It's, I am angry, and see if I act it out right. Ooh, and make an angry face, okay? Or, I'm so sad. So kind of like emotions charades, just again, you don't want codependent children. If you don't want codependent children, they have to be able to identify their emotions and be okay with them. A high part of anxiety is actually running away from emotions that were not that scary to begin with. But if you're not used to sitting there and feeling that emotion, if you are so busy running away from that emotion, which a lot of times, try it. Next time you feel overwhelmed or you have a big emotion going through, a lot of times what we do as adults is we try to talk ourselves out of that emotion. Like, oh, I know I'm feeling sad, but it'll work out. And, oh, it's okay that this happened because of this happened. Don't do that. Just feel sad. Feel sad. Feel worried. I'm telling you, it'll leave you a lot faster, and it'll stop any unconscious anxious behaviors that you've been doing to run away from that, whether it's changing radio stations, whether it's picking up another activity, whether it's flipping through your phone, whether it's washing your hands 100 times. This will help you get out of that. All right, so just identifying, even do it for a week. You know, I'm just gonna identify emotions that I have going through me, and ask your kids through the day, like, what are you feeling? Just to get them to label, because you need to check in with yourself. All right, enough. I believe I've covered everything. All right, so let us move on. So we're covering, okay, so my favorite literature curriculums, because you know I bought them all. My favorite ones for books would be Torchlight, for their books. It's a secular program. They cover vocabulary in it as well, which I really like. Now remember, most literature programs, they only cover, essentially you're just trying to work on recall and a couple other skills. Like the Christian Lit one, I think is, what is it? Oh, it's Lightning Lit. It's Lightning Lit from, I don't know, it's a Christian program called Lightning Lit and Lightning Literature and Lightning Lit for short. It's really good. They cover grammar and you get a lot. Like initially I was like, the price is high for their program. It's like, it's still under $100, but that's generally high for literature programs because you're expected to get all the books. Here's the thing, is that being the Christian program, very good, has a lot of uses a lot of older books. A lot of literature programs, my top two, they use classic books, which I'm not a huge fan of. They're okay, they're good books. They have withstood the test of time for interestingness. They are a little longer, but you can get them at the library. Like you don't have to ship out extra money for them. They are pretty much always available at the library. So you get Christian Lit and you're also gonna they have a super interesting grammar program attached to it. So that's kind of what they work on. Okay, whereas the Common Sense Press, which is secular, yet interestingly based on a book by Dr. Ruth Beachick, who was Christian and she just believed, she was an educator that believed that the best place for kids to learn how to read and learn in general was at home. But anyway, it's a secular program still using classic books. But it tells you in there too, if you cannot get a book from the library, it's got a substitute for it. Common Sense Press, but they cover everything. Like that's a full language arts program. Generally, literature programs aren't full language arts programs. It's just as a side note, they have some literature tied in, but it's not a full, like let's go into it, let's read some of these classics, let's talk about them, and let's learn through them and things like that. It doesn't work that way. But this one, Common Sense Press, that's their big thing, is they cover every area. So I think the first one's $100 for the year. But again, it's teaching your child to read, it's teaching spelling, it's teaching grammar, it's teaching literacy. Like it's got everything in it. So that's, I guess, my choice that I'm gonna be going with. However, I don't know, because Lightning Literature, the Lightning Lit is very cool, very awesome, very well worth it. You get like 600 pages of information when you buy their program. Okay, and the third program would be Torchlight, which is secular, but the book lists they have, which you can get for free, are amazing because they're more new books. They're more modern books, but they're so interesting. And if you watch, I will connect a bunch of, I've done a playlist of a whole bunch of book lists because I've gotten books off of every single one. And now generally what I do is I just hold up a book and I'm like, this book is awesome during a video. I'm like, you should get this book. And then sometimes I'll remember and I'll put it on the website under books. But a lot of these older books, I did it before I started the website for you guys. So I just have them in the videos and they're pretty interesting. Like it's like 21 educational books in 4 minutes, 10, you know what I mean? 10 really good books on building, 10 books. So I'll attach those and you can take a look at them. And I think that's about it for today that I got, but those are my two favorite literature programs. However, anyone can do a literature program. And of course, Becca, their literature program, amazing because they have all these books. All right, but again, that's separate. It's not a full language arts program, it's just a bunch of books that you can get, but it's really pricey. It's a Becca. Okay, I have a child screaming for me, so I have to depart. But there you go. I hope you enjoyed this video and have a great day. Can you say, please like and subscribe?
Please like to like.
And hit the bell for notifications.
Hit bell for notifications.